Hi everybody, thanks so much for joining me. My name is Susan Timchak and I am also known as Stampin' Sue Creates. And I want to welcome you here if you're brand new. If you would like to, I would really love it if you could hit the subscribe button, become a subscriber of my channel. Next to that subscribe button, you will see a little bell. All you have to do is ring that bell. Once you touch that bell, you'll see a little list whether you want to be notified on certain videos, on all videos. I would appreciate it if you would hit all videos. Here, that helps out myself and it helps you because you then will receive notifications when I upload a new video. So anyhow, welcome all, whether you are new, old, or just here wondering, who is this woman? Anyhow, I am just like you. I wanted to do this video because I get a lot of questions. I started this channel back how many years ago? The reason being, I'm an independent demonstrator with Stampin' Up. So I started doing this video just to share with customers and new stampers different ways to use Stampin' Up products. However, over the past, I want to say maybe 2 years, almost 2 years, I started doing this thing called machine embroidery. And I started off with a small machine. It was a Brother. All the machines I've owned thus far have been Brother products. I'm kind of like one of those kind of people where when I stick to a brand that I know, I just, stick to everything. And I'm seeing I have some like stray hairs here. Whatever. This is real life. So my machines are Brother. I started off with I think it was a 625. You'll see in old videos. Those are the first videos I did on machine embroidery. And that was a 4x4 hoop. At the time when I purchased that, I watched a few videos on embroidery, machine embroidery. It was always something that I loved, seeing what other people would make. So I've sewn for many years. I'm paper crafter. I've done chalk couture. I've done all the cross stitch, plastic canvas, all those kinds of things. But when I saw machine embroidery many years ago, I loved it. So I started watching a few YouTubers, and the more I watched, the more I was like, I want one of those machines. So like I said, I started off with a small 4x4 inch hoop. At the time, machines were not as expensive as they were since the pandemic, and I know what you all can relate to that. It has just gotten crazy with prices. So it was a few $100s. And I was like, okay, I'm willing to dump a few $100s just to see what this is about. Now, there are two different types of machines. You can get one that is embroidery only, or you can get one that sews and embroiders. Now, of course, the ones that do both are more expensive. So I already had a sewing machine. I have a New Home Memory Craft sewing machine, which I've had for probably 30 years. And knock on wood, that baby is still going strong. And I don't even want to say this, but has never even been in the shop for anything. And I believe New Home is now Janome products. So just an FYI, back in the day, I don't know what their products are now. I'm not saying they're not good. They are good. I'm just saying my experience. So, and don't mind the mess behind me. Any of you that craft know what a mess our craft rooms can be. So anyhow, started off with that machine. My first attempt at that machine was a bomber. At the time, my son had adopted a new adult dog, and my daughter has 2 dogs. Of course, I'm an animal lover myself. I have a dog and a cat. I had more cats back then, but we won't go down that road. So I wanted to surprise them with dog bandanas. I mean, how hard could it be to do a dog bandana? Cut a triangle of fabric and stitch on their names, and I wanted to surprise them. Well, it was a surprise to me because it was a horrible experience. I didn't know how to thread the machine. I didn't know what I was doing. I knew nothing about stabilizers. I knew nothing about how to hoop. Yeah, it was disaster. So my first attempt was a bomb. So if you're in those shoes, don't give up. Just keep going. And I don't know if my camera is moving down or my chair is, but my head's getting cut off. Anyhow, don't give up. Get the manual out, watch some videos. You know, maybe you find my videos helpful, maybe you don't. But just give it a second shot. But at the time, my mother had been diagnosed with stage 4 cancer. So I really didn't have a lot of extra time, nor did I have the energy to look into trying to figure out this machine. So months had passed. That machine was packed back up. I was like, thank God I didn't spend a lot of money on it. But going down the road, as she had progressed in her cancer, and I needed something other than my stamping. I needed something as kind of like a therapy. And I find crafting a therapy for myself. So I did pull it back out again. And I was determined I'm going to learn this machine. And it is moving, because I don't think this much of me was shown before. So anyhow, sorry, I don't know if I have ADD as an adult or what. Let me fix this, because that's like driving me nuts. There we go. Now you get to see more of my mess. But anyhow, so don't give up. Go back, give it a try, watch videos, learn as much as you can. So a few tips I want to give. I get questions all the time on so many things. Now, whether you're watching the first embroidery machine that I had, the 4x4, whether you watch the secondhand machine I picked up, the 770, whether you watch the Innovis 1600, or maybe you're watching this new baby that I just picked up. Pretty much machines are all the same. The higher the price, the more bells and whistles. Also, if you're looking to buy a machine, go within your budget, of course. I would recommend to start at least a 5x7 hoop. The first one I had was 4x4, and you're very limited. Although people say you can reposition the hoop and everything, go with what your budget can afford. If you can't afford, look for a second-hand one. Buy reputable. Go to your local dealers. A lot of times they have trade-in machines. The 770, I kind of had a little bit of a knowledge about an embroidery machine, and I bought that off Facebook Marketplace. Wonderful woman I bought it from. Really cared about the machine. Didn't have a lot of stitches, which is very important, is the stitch count. And if it's been serviced on a regular basis, you do want to have your machine serviced at least 2 million. You can push it to 2.5 million, but don't do what I did with the machine prior to this one. I ran that baby. It was 4 million stitches. I had bought it the end of February, and it was, what is this month? Was it October or November? No, October it must have been that I purchased this one. I traded it in and upgraded, which is what I do with my machines. The 4x4 I upgraded to the 1600. 1600 I upgraded to this one. The 770 second-hand one I have on standby in the event that this goes in for repairs, so I'm not out a machine. So do your homework. Look to see what is it that you want. If it's something you're not sure of, try a secondhand one. I highly recommend Pocono Sew and Vac. They're in East Stroudsburg, Pennsylvania. They have a website, so it's Pocono Sew and Vac. Do a search for them. Go online, see what they have. Give them a call. Ask for Fred. Tell him that Susan Timchak sent you. They're wonderful people at that store. Very helpful. A lot of times they get trade-ins, so you won't have to spend a whole lot of money. So, let's see, where are we at here? Okay, we're at 9 minutes. So, okay, I'll continue. So that's your first step. Do your homework. Start with at least a 5x7 hoop. There are a lot of designs out there that can work with the 4x4, but you're very limited. Decide whether you want an embroidery machine only, or you want a sewing and embroidery machine, because that makes a big difference in your price as well. So once you get your machine home, read the manual. Check to see what type of bobbin thread, because there are different weights to bobbin thread. There are 60-pound and 90-pound. Look at the manual, go online, watch some videos, but don't be afraid. Take it out of the box, unbox it, take a look, read the manual, maybe refer to some of the videos that I have posted here, or other people. There's a lot of people out there doing videos. Just do a search, you know. But of course, you would have done all that ahead of time because you would have known what machine you were interested in. Now, prices are still high. Unfortunately, the pandemic has really done a number in the sewing industry. So, you know, take a look at pricing. And if you're not in a hurry, then continue to do your research. So once you get your machine, you're probably wondering, well, what is it that I need? Well, first off, I'm going to tell you that machine embroidery is not a cheap hobby, but you can turn it into a business. I'm kind of on the fence with that. I enjoy doing it. I enjoy making things. I enjoy the joy that people get when they see the things I make. So which can help you pay off your machine. Now you can purchase on credit, which is what I did because frankly, I didn't have the cash to put out. But I knew that it was something I liked when I moved up to the higher hoop machine. I wanted one at least 6x10 size hoop. This one does a lot larger than that. So hoop size, you can go lower, but you can't go higher. So if you buy a machine that says 4x4 hoop max, you can't buy a 5x7 hoop and go and embroider outside that 4x4 area. You would have to reposition your hoop in order to do that. And I'm telling you, it's just not worth the hassle. Trust me. So anyhow, you're going to need thread. So the thread I use, I pulled this out. This says new, but that's not part of the name. It's the way, I'm not sure how you say it. It's like broth reed. So here's a card. There's the name. That is the one that I use. This is a card that comes with, I like to buy the colors in a set. And there's different sets. So this one is an assortment too. Get yourself a basic set. This one looks pretty good. Now, if you notice on this card that's provided, it has numbers on here. And with your machine, a lot of times, I'm not going to say all of them, but I know they will give you a number with the color thread, and that will coordinate with that. On the back of this card, this came with the thread. It has a conversion table. So depending on, there's a couple different types of thread on there. So don't use plain old sewing thread. You want to use embroidery thread. This is the brand I use. I started with this and I don't have any problems with my machines, any of my machines with this. However, I do notice with the bobbin thread that the 770 likes the 90 weight thread. This one here will work with either the 60 or the 90. And there is a difference in threads for bobbin as opposed to embroidery thread. So definitely, and it comes in white, black, you can get it in colors. I do know some people do take this thread and wind their own bobbins and use this in their bobbin, which, you know, I've never done that. I use either white or black. And the bobbin is basically the back. And I see my daughter keeps messaging me on my phone. So if you're wondering, what is she looking at over there? I keep getting text messages on my phone because I use my phone to do my videos. So anyhow, get yourself a good quality thread. Definitely needles. Your machine, usually brand new, will come with a needle. Sometimes they give you a couple extra. They'll give you some bobbin spools. Usually a bobbin spool will come pre-wound. If you're lucky enough, they may throw in a spool of bobbin thread. You can do your own bobbins on here. Here's the thing with that. The 770, the older machine, it likes to have bobbins that I wind for it. Yeah, that's Bad Bobbin Betty. That's her name. This one is Brother Bob. I don't know. I call them names. So when I get mad at them, I say, oh, Bob, you know, whatever. So my previous one was Butch. And the first one I never named because I never really got an association with that machine. Just saying. Organ needles are the ones I use. And also be careful of those. I think it's 7511, a embroidery machine needle. Now, depending on what you're working with, that's when I'm working with cotton fabrics. I think this thing is moving again. Either that or there's a ghost in this room. I use cotton fabrics. I use the organ needles. You can buy all of this stuff. I do purchase them all. Sorry about that. Through Amazon. And yeah, that thing is moving. I'm telling you, because you guys were up there before, right? Hold on a second. Let me just check my settings on here. I mean, these are tight. I don't know. It's the gremlins. The gremlins. Oh, now you see more of a mess. Ooh, I apologize. Sorry about moving you. So anyhow, you need bobbin thread, you need bobbins, you need needles. Now, stabilizers. I did a video on stabilizers. You can go back and watch that. But there are many different stabilizers. I'll just kind of touch base. There are tearaway stabilizers. There are water-soluble stabilizers. There are sticky stabilizers. There's medium weight, heavy weight. You know, there are a lot, and you'll see some of the spools up there on my shelf I have. Depending on the project you're doing, do a Google search on machine embroidery stabilizers. You will find information on there depending on what you're doing. When I'm doing t-shirts, I like to use a sticky stabilizer. I find that I get a better coverage with that, a lot less puckering. But you have to decide for yourself what you like. If I'm doing mug rugs or coasters, as they're known, I like to use water-soluble stabilizer, because then around the edges, when I trim it, I can just use a little bit of water and that just washes away. And also water-soluble stabilizers, there's one where it's like looks like a plastic sheet. It's clear. That I use on the top if I'm doing towels or I'm doing fleece or anything. So I'll have my stabilizer hooped, and then I'll also put my design on top of the hoop on the stabilizer, and the clear one will go on top of that. So when it's doing the stitching, it's not getting absorbed into a towel or into the fleece, because then what happens is you don't see the stitches. They go like down into the tuft of the fabric. So that's another thing to keep in mind. Sometimes I even double up on stabilizers. It's all a learning process. Again, do your homework. Do one project at a time. So if you're going to start with something like a t-shirt or a towel, go to the Dollar Tree, and they have towels there. They're thin, but it's a towel. So if it doesn't come out right, you can still use it. It's a towel, and you didn't invest a lot of money. Sometimes even some of the Dollar Trees have fabric there. Depending, you can even find t-shirts there, and try to find a design, maybe one that's built into your machine, because there are designs in the machine, or do a monogram or something. Start off with something small. Don't, jump into, you're going to do a whole quilt and you're all determined, and that's fine. And you can do that, but I don't want you to be disappointed from the start. Now, also, you'll see all those things hanging there. Those are the USB plugs, and what I do is I don't digitize, which is a whole other thing, and I think I'll probably stop this video to talk about that. But to get a design, start with one on your machine. Don't worry about, purchasing different designs. The ones on the machine are made for that machine, and play around with those and get comfortable before you get into purchasing designs and things that are maybe a little bit more advanced. So when you buy a design, whether I would highly recommend purchasing from Anita Goodesign. I should write down the ones that I use. Ones that have good ratings. When you get into Etsy, you want to make sure you check the ratings on what people comment, because there are good digitizers and there are bad, just like with everything else. But definitely go with a reputable. I'll try to put down below in the comments, I'll go through my names of the different bigger ones that I like to use, and do that. But first, don't even bother looking at that. Use what's on your machine. So you'll need needles, you'll need some thread, you'll need some stabilizer, you'll need a lot of patience, and you'll need your designs. So start off small and just work your way. And you can do this. Trust me, you can do it. I'm self-taught. I never took a class. When I bought my second machine, I was supposed to have a class. It was supposed to be in April. The pandemic hit, and it never happened. And I don't know if it's ever going to. So I do my own research. I do my own, watching the videos, and that's how I learned. So that's how you too can learn. So let me think, is there anything that I missed? The stabilizers, the thread, the needles, the machine, of course. You need your hoop. And you'll need a design to get going, and like I said, lots of patience. A good pair of scissors. I like using these type of scissors where they have that little curve, so when you have your hoop and you have to do trimming, whether you're doing applique or trimming of your stitches, you can get in the hoop, because the hoop is kind of has that little lip on it. I did a few videos on different types of hoops. There are ones where you just use sticky paper and stick it on that way, and there's no putting between the two hoops to get it all set up properly. I love that hoop. There's magnetic hoops. There's a lot of different hoops. If you're going to get into applique, there's applique scissors, but don't worry about any of that. Just get the machine unboxed, be ready, read the manual, turn it on, and give it a try. Another thing I want to tell you is, if you happen to have a broken needle, stop. Don't let the machine go. I sit and I babysit the machine, because Murphy's Law, as soon as I walk away, something's going to happen. If you have a broken needle, be sure that you found all the pieces of that broken needle before you begin to do anything, because that needle could be somewhere inside your machine, and that could do a lot of damage and cost you a lot of money. But just start with something simple. And I know we're all afraid. It's like, oh, I remember I was afraid. I had an incident in July where I wanted to just grab that little thread. Don't do it. Stop the machine. Because I ended up with a finger injury where, believe it or not, the needle actually went right through the nail, out through the other side. It was a very expensive trip to the urgent care, then to the hospital, and then to orthopedic surgeons. So definitely stop the machine. Don't think I could just grab something, put the machine on hold, cut your thread, or do whatever it was that was bothering you, bopping around in there, and don't stick your hands anywhere near it, because it can happen in a flash. It did to me before I even realized it. So anyhow, we are at 22 minutes. Yeah, I think I will end it here. If you have any questions, if there's something, a video that you want me to do, something more you want me to go over, leave it down below in the comments, because I want to help you as much as I can. I appreciate all the people that helped me along the way. Now also too, for help, there are a lot of Facebook groups out there. I have not met a machine embroidery person that was mean or nasty. Everyone's been in the same boat. Everyone had to start somewhere, and everyone needs help. It's a great way to get help just by asking. And people are out there to help you. So check out the Facebook groups. Maybe do a search for the type of machine you have. There are Facebook groups for each machine. And just join one. And just introduce yourself. People put on there a lot of information that can be helpful. Or if you run into a problem, I'm going to tell you, I post on Facebook and people are like lickety split. They are right there to help. So join a Facebook group. Be sure to subscribe and like and comment to my channel. If you have any other friends that you think would be interested in my channel, I would love if you would share this video. I'm at 3K subscribers. I'm slowly working my way up to, my goal is 10K, and then of course every 10K to get to the golden one, which is 100K subscribers. And I know I do have ads running, but that helps to support the channel. That helps to pay for some of my supplies. And the more you watch and the more people that subscribe and watch, I get a small commission from Google Ads for that. So I apologize for having to do that, but it's a way for me to make a little extra income to help pay for some of my supplies for what I use for bringing you these videos. So anyhow, I'm going to end there. We're at almost 25 minutes, and I don't want to take up any more of your time, but be sure to leave in the comments if you have any suggestions, and don't be afraid. Just give it a try. You can do it. I know you can. All right, everyone. Thank you so much for joining me, And I'll see you on the next video. Bye for now.